Yo, fancy community, welcome to Proper Things, the FPL show sponsored by the TTFSL. Learn the game, live the game, love the game. And it's your host, Michael, back again for season 2, episode 2, and I hope everyone is doing well. I saw some pre-season games. Manchester City cannot buy a win to save their life. Liverpool narrowly edging Arsenal 2-1 last night, and United injury worries just gathering steam right now as new signing centre-back Yaro is out, Rasmus is out as well, and Rashford got a knock last night. So not great reading for the Red Devil fans, but hopefully they could pick things up before the season starts in just over 2 weeks. So in 3 Fridays, because tomorrow is Friday, we come in live on Thursday, the 1st of August. So in 3 Fridays, we back Manchester United kicking things off versus Fulham. And with that being said, I know a lot of people are wondering what we have in store for them this episode. Well, to kick things off, I will be going through my updated draft for Game Week 1. And then I have a nice segment featuring the $15 million king, Erling Haaland. And then the best $4.5 million defensive assets, because I know a lot of people are trying to mix and match to afford Erling. And for those going against Erling, I'll have the alternative draft for yours with the best assets if you're looking to go against. So to kick things off, let's take a look at my updated Game Week 1 draft. And here in the graphic, if the season were to start today on August 1st, this would be my fantasy team. So we're moving away now from the 3-5-2 as we could clearly see. But my goalkeeper remains the same as Henderson retains his spot. I loved him then and I still love him 2 weeks later. I think he has a brilliant chance to gather up those clean sheets for Crystal Palace under Glasner. I think they're one of the best defenses under him. And until I see otherwise, Dean Henderson will be locked in. So he will be my starting keeper for Game Week 1. Now we're moving into the 3 in defense, the starting 3. And you can see Mr. Trent Alexander-Arnold has been moved out to accommodate Vardiol. And this is basically because Vardiol has already returned to preseason action under Manchester City and Trent has yet to make his bow under new manager Arne Slot. And while I do believe that Trent is explosive and worth his $7 million price tag, with all things considered 2 weeks later and him not appearing under the new coach, I don't think that is much different to warrant the $1 million price tag that he will have to pay to have him over Vardiol, especially with Vardiol already showing his attacking chops in preseason. We already know what he's about. We already know what Manchester City is about. And I think the $6 million price tag is going to prove to be a bargain. So Vardiol drafts in for Trent Alexander-Arnold. Accompanying him is 2 guys who retain their spots in Burn and Konza. Of course, Dan Burn under Newcastle has an amazing start to the season. The fixtures are an absolute chef's kiss. So Dan Burn will retain his spot and Konza alongside him as well. However, drafting into the bench, we could clearly see that Barco has come into the the 15-man squad. He will be on the bench to begin things, but he has taken the bull by its horns in preseason and looking to start for Brighton as Estupinian is currently injured. And of course, my guy Robinson is right there looking to explode in Game Week 2, but the way the United injuries are going, maybe he may squeeze himself into the Game Week 1 squad. So it's going to be Vardiol, Burn and Konza for Game Week 1. In midfield, the quartet retain their spots with a change in formation, however, as we could see. So instead of playing the 3-5-2, now we're playing the 3-4-3, but those 4 guys retain their starting spots. And that being Captain Mo Salah, already scoring a goal in preseason versus Arsenal just last night. And Nkunku scoring goals, scoring penalties, having a great time in preseason. He looks to be in absolute amazing form heading into the season. If you remember, I loved this asset last season, but he just couldn't seem to get his fitness right. And with that seemingly put behind, he looks to have a massive season. And especially at the $6.5 million price tag, there's a lot of Nkunku drafts going on as he is a great enabler to get managers on that Salah plus Haaland hype train that is currently gathering steam. And accompanying them is Eze, locked in on pens, locked in on the free kicks under Glasner at $7 million. There's a lot to love for Ezzy. However, the guy that I skipped over is Anthony Gordon, and the reason why is that there's a lot of smoke and a lot of fire regarding his pending transfer or possible transfer to Liverpool. And there's a lot of smoke, and when there's smoke, there's usually a transfer rumor in there that's true. And with all the noise going around Gordon, I'm not too sure if he will be in my Gameweek 1 squad, but right now he retains his spot, and we're looking to see how those transfer rumors develop heading into the season. But we could clearly see on the bench that we have a new face, and that being Oscar Bob, coming at $5 million from Manchester City. Currently, he's in my 15-man squad, but not in the starting lineup, simply because of one reason. I need to see what happens in Gameweek 1. We have heard the comments from Pep, who may ease the guys who have had a lengthy Euros back Manchester City starting lineup. So the Fodens and Kevin De Bruynes of the world may not feature as much as we expect them to start the season. And like I said, Erling Haaland is the phone, and those two guys, Foden and Kevin De Bruyne, were the charger. But filling their spot in preseason is Oscar Bob, and what a preseason he's having. So if he could carry that preseason form into the starting of the season, we could absolutely have a steal of a deal there at $5 million. So Oscar Bob, while not be starting for me in Game Week 1, I'll have him on my bench, and hopefully he could explode versus Ipswich and maybe West Ham. So for those 3 weeks, we're looking to get a little explosion from Oscar Bob, but we'll wait to see what happens to begin the season and versus Chelsea. And finally, my 3 strikers now as we're moving into the 3-4-3. It still remains Haaland at $15 million leading the line. Accompanying him is Alexander Isak, who's having another amazing preseason, scoring goals for fun alongside Haaland for Manchester City. And the new guy being drafted is Chris Wood at $6 million versus Bournemouth. However, with the recent news of Anawai joining preseason for Nottingham Forest, this may prove to put a spanner in things, as if the young could come into the team and steal minutes off Wood, that is not ideal for the Chris Wood owners. So definitely want to keep an eye on in this preseason and see how it develops, because when Anawai was fit, he was scoring goals for fun at the beginning of last season. But the injury slowed things, and then Chris Wood took his spot. So if Chris Wood is losing minutes to Anawai, the guy that I will be bringing in is Muniz from Fulham at the same price. So that is my first draft updated as of August 1st, 2024. So we'll see how the transfer rumors and preseason develops, but hopefully we keep the same lineup. But I'll have one more update for you all before the start of the season. And now that we have given the Hurricane Erling update, we move now into the 12th man segment. Basically, it's a segment that highlights the most popular and the best $4.5 million defensive assets. So I know a lot of people are trying to cut costs in the defensive department as they're trying to bring in those more, glamorous attacking options, and that glamour costs a lot of money. So taking a look at the chart right here, we could see Dan Burn is at top of the ownership list right now at 23.1%. Again, Newcastle has one of the best fixture lists to start the season. Dan Burn looks to be as much locked into that Newcastle defense to start the season as almost anyone else. Of course, we have the injuries still to Botman, and we're not too sure about Lascelles, etc. So it looks like Dan Burn is going to start the season. And of course, maybe Trippier goes to Saudi and Livramento drafts in, but right now Trippier is still in England and a Newcastle player. So Dan Burn still remains my best $4.5 million asset. In second, we've seen now a lot of managers flocking to Anderson of Crystal Palace, currently at 22.8%. He is number 2 on my list if you don't have Henderson in goal, as I think having a Crystal Palace defensive option is a must to start the season. I currently have Henderson, so I don't have Anderson in my draft. But if you're going for a different keeper, maybe a more expensive one, a premium one like Raya, I think having Anderson in your team is a must. They're one of the best defenses, top 6 under Glasner, and I expect that to continue this season. So Anderson coming at number 2, currently 22.8%. One of my favorite defensive assets is, of course, Konza from Aston Villa, and he's still on my list, coming at 18.4%. own throughout the game. But the thing about Aston Villa is, while they do have a great fixture in Game Week 1, they do play the Gunners in Game Week 2. So if you're going the route of Konza, you are going to need a 12th man to come off the bench. And that is the purpose of this segment, to give you the $4.5 million assets that could help fund those premium transfers. So firstly, Burn, Anderson, and of course Konza. Next up is Mykolenko at 11%. If you look at Everton last season, they were a clean sheet machine. Mykolenko is attacking as they come. Remember, he was one of the standout enablers while he was on top of his game last season, but then the injuries slowed him. 11%, he's gathering steam going into the season as the transfer news seems to be dying out, and definitely he is one of the best assets. But he only comes in at number 4 for me in the $4.5 million range. And finally, the other two players I want to highlight are, of course, Mark Gahey, again from Crystal Palace, and my guy Robinson from Fulham, 9.2 and 5.2%. Gahey, of course, playing a big part in England's run to the final in the Euros. But again, he had that extra holiday as England made that deep run, so we're not too sure how he's going to start the season. And Robinson, while he does have a horrible Game Week 1 game versus Manchester United to kick off the Premier League season, I do think he's one of the best assets to own in Game Week 2 and 3 as Fulham schedule absolutely turns into green beams for all the 2K fans. So I will be having Robinson. And finally, I have to highlight Baku, who has gained popularity as he's locked in a starting spot for Brighton's defense at 4 million, currently now at 8.3 million. 8.3% owned in the game. He's also on corners, so if you think that Don could get his head on a corner, maybe Baku is the guy whipping it in at 4 million. I think he's an absolute steal and a must-have to start the season. So that wraps up the 12th man. And if you're asking which combination I think is the best, I would say if you don't have Henderson, it will be Burn, Anderson, and Konza. But if you have Henderson like myself, you could go Burn, Konza, and of course Robinson. So hope that helps you all with deciding what budget options to go in defense. But if you're going triple premium in the back or big at the back, this segment is not really for you. So good luck in the planning and best of luck come Game Week 1. And now, before I bring you our alternative draft for the no Haaland owners, I have to shout out our sponsors, the TTFSL, with just about 15 days before the kickoff of the FPL season, the Premier League season. The main question is, why haven't you signed up to the TTFPL Pro League by the TTFSL? Remember, the winner is walking away with 10K. Just ask last year's season winner FPL Trini about how exciting and engaging the league was. He won, of course, being the champion. He got all his prizes, no problems. And what you have to do to sign up to the TTFSL Pro League, all you have to do is call this number below, message this number below, tell Ezra you're interested in joining the league. It's just $250. And you're getting the premium action. You're getting invited to a group chat that never sleeps. Guys talking tactics, talking banter, saying whether their team better than yours, hyping up the thing, giving you picks that they may have or may not have in their squad. There are a lot of guys there just trying to grease and get into the heads of their opponents. And don't forget that outside of the 10K, we have monthly prizes. So we have a lot in store for you all this season. So make sure and join up for the league. It's not too late. You just have about 15 days again before the beginning of the season. And you don't want to be looking on at your league mates saying, boy, this action was hot, we getting the prizes easy, and you left out. So don't forget, call the number there, message the number, tell us you're interested in joining the league, and he'll sign you up easy, like 1, 2, 3. And of course, when you're talking to him, he'll tell you about the other competitions that they have, whether it be the Champions League, whether it be the new Eliminator style league, aka the Guillotine. So make sure and ask out all the different leagues that he has in for you. So good luck to the managers. Call up the number, get joined today. You just have about 15 days in it. So make sure and tell them your boy Mike go shout you out on the show if you're doing well. If you're not doing too well, you could message me, hit my email, and I might, get a little blind. But just once, But have fun, and I hope to see you all there. TTFSL Pro League Season 2 24-25 season. Just $250 to sign up, and good luck. And now we closing off the show with the segment a lot of people locked in for, especially the non-Haaland owners. And that's the alternative draft, or the non-Haaland draft, as we like to say on the show. So the best starting team, or the best 50-man squad without Haaland for me to start game week 1 as of August 1st, 2024 goes as follows. Keeping the same 2 keepers, as I do believe you still need to save a little bit of money, so Henderson retains his spot in goal. The same 3 in the back, but this time we move into 5 in midfield, and of course 2 strikers. So in defense, we have Vardiol and Burn, and coming into the team to pair with Henderson is Munoz of Crystal Palace, a very attacking fullback, as we saw what he did last season, and I believe this season he could be even better with a pre-season program under Glasner. So he comes into the team at $5 million price tag. In midfield, we could see a lot of money is being spent here, as we have Palmer coming into the team, we have Son coming into the team, Salah will be our game week 1 captain, retaining his spot. Still love Eze, so he returns his spot, and Dominic Szoboszlai comes in. Of course, Dom comes in for his price mate there in Nkunku, both 6.5 million, but I don't think I would want to run a double Chelsea midfield to start the season, so unfortunately Nkunku would have to make way. I'll be taking the punt on Palmer, coming in game week 1 with the shortened pre-season, but somewhere the money will have to be spent, and while Saka, Foden and De Bruyne are also away, I think Palmer is the most explosive of those 3 assets. And while I don't have him in my personal team, I do believe that I will have him at some point in the first 5 game weeks. So Palmer would start the season in this alternative draft. And then we're looking at the 2 strikers, and that will be Isak retaining his spot, and accompanying him instead of Erling Haaland is Kai Havertz, as we need some Arsenal cover. The ideal Arsenal asset is of course Starboy Saka, but with him not showing up so far as he's on holiday, I need to have an asset there that's going to cover me in the Arsenal attack. I think Kai Havertz is the best option for me, especially with me needing to draft in a striker to replace Haaland. However, with last game versus Liverpool, we saw that Havertz was playing in midfield, so that is definitely a cause for concern, especially with Watkins being priced at 9 million. So again, if we need to just break up this draft to accommodate Watkins, now we'll need to get some money from elsewhere to accommodate him. So then again, it's another problem. On the bench, we have a little option there in Robinson and Barco to come into the team, and nothing much from Cannon, as this is what I believe to be the best non-Haaland draft. And I think this because in game week 2, we'll have the ideal captaincy option of Heung-min Son versus Everton. And while Everton proved to be a very hard defense to break down, we're seeing the massive preseason that Heung-min Son is having, and with the options outside of Manchester City being a little tricky, unless you want to put all your eggs in the Isak basket, I think Son gives you that secondary captaincy option in game week 2. Of course, Salah will always be mentioned, Liverpool will always be mentioned, but if they don't look like they're brilliant best versus Ipswich in game week 1, there's going to be resistance. So I think this draft allows you to cover early, more adeptly, and you're staying away from the cautionary tales, the cautionary minutes of Saka and Foden and Kevin De Bruyne. So a lot to think about if you're going against Erling Haaland, so I hope this helps. And now that brings us to the end of episode 2 of Proper Things. I hope you all enjoyed the episode. We had a little fun with the Hurricane Haaland segment this week. Of course, you got my draft, an alternative draft, and the best $4.5 million assets to have in defense. I hope everyone is enjoying their summer. They're staying safe, having a fun summer, have a healthy summer, because remember, health is wealth. I hope to see you all in game week 1. And don't forget to call up Ezra and sign up for the league. It's already getting steamy and we're almost there to the beginning of the season. So like always, stay safe and do proper things in all walks of life. I'll see you all soon before the beginning of the season.